The hard part is to get these values, but on the exam will be given, just like I'll give it to you right here. But see, this actually makes a lot of sense, especially like in California. So in California, you had to pay to play, which technically you're paying for somebody to take out your money. So you think about that for 1 second, okay? But it says you had to pay $2 to play, and there is a 45% chance, which is this one, that you will lose $4. But technically, you are losing $6, not four. Why? Because you pay to play. And then there is a 10% chance, which is this one, that you will win $10, but you only actually win A. Why? Because you had to pay 2. But in this case, this is given, and on the test, it will be given to you, so you will have to complete this part. Okay? All right, so now to fill out this, to find the mean, remember all you have to do is multiply, and just watch out for the signs and the decimal. So this should be minus 2.70. Is that okay? Everybody get that? Then this is 0.0. This is 0.20. This is 0.80. And when you add everything up, this is negative 1.7. By the way, you should always check that this adds to 1, which it is the case. And remember, this is the mean or the expected value. Now, to find the second column, you have to be careful. Remember that you have to square this value and then multiply it times this one. So it will be minus 6 squared times 0.45, which according to my record, this is 16.2. The values for this column is always positive. Everything has to be positive all the time. Okay? I know that if you put minus 6 squared, the calculator will, if you put minus 6 squared, the calculator will say it's minus 36. That's wrong. These values are always positive. So again, you square this value. So this is technically 36 times 0.45, which is equals to 16.2. Is that okay?
So always make it into a positive.
Yeah, it's always this value is always going to be, this one can be negative, but this one always has to be positive, always.
So even
if these values are negative, it doesn't matter.
Negative 36, just make it into a positive?
Yes. Okay. All right, so then the next value should be obvious, is what? 0. Then what about the next one? It will be 0.2 or 0.20, doesn't matter. And the last one, remember, for this one is going to be 8 squared times what? 0.10, which happens to be 6.4. Okay? And then if you add everything, the answer is 22.8. Did anybody else got anything different? Or everybody agrees with that? All right, so now remember, this is not a variance. This is the expected value of x squared. And then to find the variance, well, the formula is the following. Remember, the variance is equals to the expected value of x squared, which is this value we just found, minus mu squared, which was the first value we found. So in this case, this will be 22.8 minus 1.7 squared. Remember, you square this. Anytime you square a negative, it's going to become positive. So the answer to this should be, according to what I have, is 19.91. Right? Everybody agrees with that? Any questions on this? Okay, so then that's the variance. Remember, this is the variance. If we want the standard deviation, what do we have to do? Anybody? Take the square root. And the square root of 19.1 is 4.462. If you round it to one place, it will be 4.5. If you round it to two places, it will be 4.46. It depends on what the question is asking. Or 3 places, well, it will be this. All right, any questions on these, people? Speak now. So what is the meaning of mu in here? Remember, mu is negative 1.67. So what does this mean based on what I told you earlier? It means that every time you play this game, so every time you play, that's why it's called expected value, should expect to lose $1.70. That's all it means. All right, so let's move to number 2, which is binomial. How do we know this is binomial? Well, you either have a drone or you don't have a drone, and then you have a sample, a fixed sample of 25. So n is 25. Remember that I told you n is always given. And then p is given, or it should be obvious. In this case, p is given. What's the value for p? 20%, right? What is 20% on decimal? It's 0.2 or 0.20. Either one is the same. And remember, x is whatever the question that is asking. So in this case, it says what's the probability that exactly 12? So that means for this particular problem, x is equals to 12. So therefore, the question is asking what's the probability that x is 12. So if we apply the formula, it will be 25, choose 12, 0.2 to the 12, and then 0.8 to which power? Anybody? 13. Remember, it has to be 13. Why? Because this plus that, remember this value plus this one has to add to 25. And why is this 1.8?
Because they have to equal to 1.
It has to equal to 1. That's it. Now, if the question was a multiple choice question, most likely this will be the answer. If you want the numerical solution, you can use the calculator, and the answer is 0.001171. Is that okay? Now, do you want me to do it in the calculator too? To show you again how to get the answer?
Yes.
Okay. So if you use a calculator, you have to go to second and then variables, and then pick letter A, which will be binom, which means binomial PDF, and then you type 25.2 and then the number of successes, and it will give you exactly 0.001171. Is that okay? All right, so for part B, I told you this multiple times. Whenever you hear at least one, you should always do the complement. So remember, at least one mathematically is written like this, more than or equals to 1. The complement of at least one is 1 minus 0. Okay, I told you this since chapter 4. And then 0, remember, will be 25, choose 0. And then 0.2 to the 0. And then 0.8 to the 25. And then you can just use the calculator. And if it is multiple choice, this is good enough. All right, what about part C? This is very similar to the question that I think Jaime asked earlier. So now it should be clear. At most 2, see, mathematically, at most 2 is x less than or equals to 2. But remember, at most 2 means 0, 1, and 2. And then you just have to write the answer for each of them. 0, we did it already, is 25, choose 0, 0.2 to the 0, and then 0.8 to the 25. What about 1? What would 1 be? 25, choose what? 1, 0.2 to the 1, and then 0.8 to the 24. And what about finally the 2? Anybody, what would this be? 25, choose what?
25, choose 2.
And then point what? 2 to which power?
2.
2, and then 0.8 to which power?
23.
23. See? I told you it was a piece of cake. And then you can just use a calculator to simplify each of them if you want to get a numerical answer. Okay, so like for example, the calculator for this one, you get to binom PDF by doing second variables, and then this will be 25.2, and the number of successes is 2, and that will give you the answer for that one. Okay, is that okay? Okay, number 4 is just to make sure that you remember how to use the formula. So here it is. The information is the same. The only difference here is that x is equals to 4. Why? Because it says exactly 4, right? So the probability that x is equals to 4, this will be 25 choose 4, and then what? 0.2 to the 4, and then 0.8 to the what? 21. I think I already computed this one. Oh no, I haven't used the calculator. So then just use the calculator and that's it. Now, how many people are expected? Well, for the binomial, remember, this is only true for the binomial. The mean is pretty easy to find, or the expected value is just n times p. And the variance is equals to n times p and 1 minus p. Remember, this is only true for the binomial. Otherwise, you had to go through the whole table process that we did for 5.1. So therefore, what will be mu here? What's the value for n? Is 25, right? The value for p is 0.2, and this is equals to 5. So therefore, what does that mean? That out of the 25 people, you will expect 5 of them to own a drone. That's all it means, okay? Now, does that mean exactly 5 will own a drone? No, but you will expect 5 to own a drone, okay? So this means that you expect 5 out of 25 to own a drone. What about the standard deviation? So sigma will be sigma square. First, the variance is n times p, so this will be 25 times 0.2 times 0.8. So therefore, how much is this? Anybody? Oh, this should be 0.8, not 0.4. So as far as I know, this is, what is it? It's 4, no? Just check, just multiply. So therefore, what is the standard deviation? It will be the square root of 4, which is equals to 2. Okay? All right, so now going back to put together this with the stuff we did before, remember, if assuming the empirical rule holds, remember, if you move 2 standard deviations from the mean, 95% of the data should be there, okay? So again, just to emphasize, because this is one of the most important things in the whole class, the mean here is 5. So what happens if you add 2 standard deviations? So how much is 5 plus 2 and 2? What would that be?
7.
Well, plus 1 is 7, and then one more, it will be what? 9, right?
9. Okay.
And then how much is 5 minus 4? It will be 1. So what this means is that even though you expect 5 people to own a drone, 95% of the time, you're going to find between 1 and 9 people own a drone, which is it's a huge interval, but that's what it is, because the sample is only 25, so it's not that big. Is that okay?
Professor,
Yeah.
how do you get 1?
Oh, if you do a 5 minus 4, that will give you 1, right?
Oh,
Because the standard deviation is 2. So if you do 5 minus 2 times 2, that will give you 1. And the other one is 5 plus 2 times 2. That's how we get 9. Is that okay?
okay.
That makes sense, Nila?
Yes. Thank you.
All right. All right, so that's it.